Utah, give me 2.
Hi, I'm Michael Govier. That's Benjamin Chase. We are live. It's the Palazzo Podcast. Prospects Power Half Hour, the baseball show where we talk about Prospects Dynasty Baseball for a good half hour. Benjamin Chase, Big Gentle Ben on Twitter. That's how you connect with him. You should know the drill. If you're new to the show, welcome aboard. Great to have you here. You can join the live chat. You can ask any questions you want. We'll try to answer them to the best of our ability. I'm at MJ Govier on Twitter. And as I said, Palazzo Podcast, you can find the Discord link and the Patreon if you want to go even farther. We got football. We got baseball. We kind of try to do it all here on the Palazzo Podcast. 2 L's.
Utah.
2 Z's.
Give me 2.
Benjamin, how are you doing on this afternoon in the United States of America?
Busy. but that's life. You know, just lots of things going on. It's homecoming week here, and you know when you're a reporter and it's homecoming week, you're
oh boy, it's gonna be a big one. Who's going? Who's in town? Who's the big homecoming showdown against?
Well, it's actually they're playing against a team from West River called Douglas, and they haven't won a game yet this year, which is kind of good because our local football team has only won 1 football game this year, so they have a chance to win, which is nice.
That's always nice. Yeah, I'm glad they have a chance to win.
But
I want everyone to win.
Team last night went 5 sets with the number 1 team in the state and just barely lost 15-13 in the 5th set. So it was really an exciting thing to have in town. So that was fun.
Well, as long as you don't pull a Brett Favre and try to funnel $6 million worth of welfare funds to your daughter's college to build a brand new volleyball facility. That's not cool. So don't do that, Ben, okay?
Yeah, you know, I think that would be tough to pull off here in South Dakota. Somebody might notice.
You think so? I mean, nobody noticed in Mississippi, so.
Well, yeah. It is Favre, though. I mean.
That's true. Carte blanche.
Probably assumed he had money, you know.
They did. And
they might have a little trouble believing that a newspaper reporter in rural South Dakota has that kind of coin. I'm just saying.
Okay. Now I see what you're saying here. Now it makes sense. Yeah, you're right. I'm with you 1,000%. All right, Palazzo Podcast Live. Me and Benjamin Chase talking it up here, chopping it up. I thought we'd talk about the Arizona Fall League some more. We kind of got to it last week. We talked about the rosters a bit. I also thought we would talk about some of the players, Ben, that you think should get a spotlight that maybe aren't getting it or might not get it, but then by the time the whole thing's done, might be some players that people will start talking about more and say, oh, wow, well, I hadn't heard of that guy. And what do you know? That guy had a great Arizona Fall League. He blew up AFL and totally dominated. He surprised everybody. Damn! So I'm curious because you always try to go beyond the prospect industrial complex, if you will, where people are just sometimes group thinking, and we're not blaming anyone in particular here. We're just saying, and Ben has laid this out many times, that these lists, they start to just kind of coalesce together because one person saw what one person did, like, well, that guy knows what he's talking about, so I'm just going to do what he did. Next thing you know, a lot of the lists look the same. There are exceptions. I am not saying they all look the same, but Ben has always been very, very for doing your own research and finding the guys who get left out of the mix, who maybe deserve to be in the mix, but maybe they weren't at a specific camp or a showcase like Ben has talked about, that maybe left them outside looking in. So that's why I want to do this, Ben, because you're always so good at revealing to us who we need to know about beyond the top studs.
Well, and you know, one of the guys who I think the AFL is going to be extremely good for is one of those guys who was one of those studs just a couple years ago, and that's Heston Kjerstad from in the Orioles organization. And he's had a rough go of it. I mean, the guy ended up with COVID, with long haul, and had some issues after that, after he was drafted, and really didn't get to play a lot until this year, and really didn't even get a full year this year, which is why he's getting to play AFL ball. But once he really got on the field, and it took him a little bit getting his feet wet and getting going a little bit, he looked like the guy who was a top 5 pick. I mean, he really looked like that guy once he got into it. And there just wasn't enough time in the season to truly get him promoted up the chain very far by that point.
Gotcha.
This could be that kind of a, hey, he's getting a chance to really face some guys that are maybe double A quality. And in fact, I mean, in the case of someone like Joey Wentz, Joey's going down there to get some more innings in against live hitting and all that. I mean, a guy who's had some success at the major league level here to end the season.
Absolutely has.
I mean, you're going to have a chance to face some quality players, and, you know, Kirsten could really get a good run to end this year for him going into next year. And I really think it could help reestablish his, I mean, you get talking about this list, reestablish his value on those lists, but more than that, reestablish his position in Baltimore's future plans. And that's a big, big thing for, you know, I'm sure Baltimore right now is going, okay, we invested a top 5 pick in this guy. What do we got? Yeah. Because, you know, that's a big thing that I'm sure they're thinking about. So he's the first one that really sticks out to me when I go through these lists or go through these rosters and look at the guys that are getting their shot this year. And that he's one that really sticks out big time.
Absolutely. He's got all the talent in the world, and he's just been derailed a bit, but that doesn't mean it's over. And in fact, Arizona Fall League is a great opportunity for guys like Joey Wentz and Heston Kjerstad. Yeah. I got to work on that because I'm doing the Keston Hira thing. That's my fault. But let's give credit. These guys grind. They don't give up. And we always respect the process of being a minor leaguer, whether you're the 5th overall pick or you're a 33rd rounder. In fact, my friend Luke, his brother was drafted by the Cubs in the 33rd round back in like 2010. And he was a star at Central Michigan in the MAC. And he was really, really good. I played softball with him. Woo! Dude, he crushed the ball. But once he got there to the rookie complex league over there in Arizona, and he looked around and he said, you know what? I mean, he played for a bit and he tried, but he's kind of came to the conclusion, Ben, that, yeah, you know, I am just not as good as some of these guys. And I think I'm just going to go live my life peacefully. No regrets. You know, he tried to make a few things happen. And, you know, this guy, he was 6 foot. He wasn't as tall. He wasn't like 6'4". And he was a first baseman. He played outfield too, but I think he had some first base, like power and right fielder, corner outfield power type guy. But he could have grinded his ass off, and who the hell knows what would have happened. But he was happy just to say, you know, I'm okay with this, and that's how it goes. And there's a lot of stories like that. And my friend Luke thought that when I mentioned Arizona Fall League, I'm like, yeah, we're talking about Arizona Fall League on Palazzo today. And he's like, oh, yeah, my brother was in that. I was like, I don't think he was in it. No offense to your brother. I think you're thinking of, like, rookie complex leagues. There's a bunch of... Yeah, there's always leagues in Arizona, like, for rookies all the time. They're coming in. People are injured. They're going down there. Even major leaguers go over there to start fresh and kind of get the ball rolling before they head out on rehab assignments. So, Luke, I love you, but that's not the Arizona Fall League that we're talking about here.
And that's the other great part about this time of year. You're going to have all this attention as far as the big prospect guys from Baseball America and MLB Pipeline and everywhere else that are going to be heading down to the Arizona Fall League. But at the same time, fall complex season is going on all over, like for all these teams that actually have their own complex down there, they're having their own complex season. And of course, right now that's getting wiped out in Florida because of a hurricane coming through. The Twins just sent home their guys. I know that. I saw that tweet come out. I'm sure the Red Sox share that facility. I'm sure they sent their guys home.
Yeah, it's on the west side, Fort Myers. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know how all the other teams are handling the hurricane, but I'm sure a lot of them sent home their players because at this point, fall instruct leagues, you're only supposed to be there for a couple weeks and then you send guys home. Well, if you're going to be waiting out a hurricane for a week of that. You've lost really that half of that time. It kind of so
yeah.
But games start down in Arizona here on Monday. Guys can go look at fall instructs for the Rangers, let's say, and see that really hot DSL guy for the Rangers that they haven't seen stateside yet, but he's going to get some extra at bats at the Rangers complex, so they can go watch a noon game in the Arizona Fall League and then go watch the Rangers complex for a while, catch that guy. And that's going to be the first time you're hearing about, oh, hey, this guy, this outfielder for the Rangers is somebody you really need to start paying attention to. And folks, that's how we first really started to hear big words about Jackson Chourio last year. So those are the type of things to pay attention to. When people come out of those fall instruct things, you get a lot of those folks that go down to Arizona for Arizona Fall League, and they see these instructs and they start to go, oh, holy crap. Like this guy over here in the instructs is as good as the people I'm seeing over here at, Fall League. And those guys are supposed to be AA ball players. And this guy over here is like a rookie league guy. We got something here, pay attention to that name. And so that's the other fun part about this is paying attention to the guys who are down there covering it too. Not just the players on the field, but sometimes the guys covering it have some extra things to tell you. So
flawless victory.
Well, I don't know if it's a flawless victory, but yes, I hope everybody maintains safety in Florida. We don't want anyone to die. 150-mile-an-hour winds, that's intense. But the media loves weather. I mean, they just live off of weather. Hurricanes are serious, of course they are, but the media just can't help themselves, Ben. I mean, it's just like...
It is stupid what they will do to get in the middle of a stinking storm,
It sure is. Oh, man, I've never done that. I don't think I would do that. Although I do love... So this is the other part of me. I love intense weather. I mean, I love thunderstorms and I love tornadoes. I don't want to be in one necessarily, but I wonder how close I'd be willing to get to one in real time. I've never had a real close call. We've had a couple sirens in my life, so that's about it. Anyways, I want to go over the rosters quick, so I thought that I would fire up the rosters, and then you could also throw in some guys that you think, well, this guy could be a name to watch that maybe you aren't familiar with whatsoever, because I want to give people a better sense of this, too. Some people don't always know, like, what's going on over there with the Arizona Fall League? How does it work? Well, you have 6 teams, and they all get pooled together like this. So here you go. We got the Desert Dogs of Glendale, the Solar Sox in Mesa, which is where I'll be staying for first pitch when Baseball HQ is having their first pitch event, November 3rd through 6th. Get your tickets now. Still available live at the Sheraton in Mesa. Also, the All-Star Game will be at the ballpark in Mesa, right next to where they play there. So last year, and I think I've said this before, there was nothing there. We stayed at the Mesa Sheraton. We had the first pitch Arizona, my first time going out there, Baseball HQ, all these awesome dudes, Ron Chandler, everybody, yada, yada, yada. But the stadium just sat empty for 4 days. It seemed like a missed opportunity. I don't know how the schedule worked out that way. We had to drive to Surprise and other places like that to see other action. So,
but even then, it's closer than if you would go to Florida.
Yeah.
Yes. Florida spring training, it's like, hey, let's go down to the very bottom of the panhandle and go watch one team. And then, hey, let's go up to the little top, the tip of the panhandle up to Panama City Beach and watch somebody. And then, it's like, geez, is this really the best way to put together a spring training?
Yeah, that's fair. By the way, Panama City Beach, I can't believe you thought, boy bands. Come on, Ben. Come on. No Backstreet Boys in 2001. And by the way, you alluded to a band. Were you really in a band cruising through?
I was in a worship band in college, and our worship band was selected to go down and be the one to lead worship at the Campus Crusade for Christ spring break thing that they had that year.
No kidding.
I got to sing for that all week long.
That's a different take on spring break for me. I admit that freely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was very different than my spring break was very different than a lot of other people at Panama City Beach that week.
Yeah. I'm sure. Jasper's here. Jasper, so good to see you, man. I have not seen or heard from you in 6 weeks or so. Man.
Yeah. It's been a bit.
Good to see you, bud. I'm so happy you're here. Anthony's late, and that's good. I haven't seen you in a minute either, Anthony. I'm glad you're here.
And I think Jasper's here to mourn his team, but that's a whole nother.
Yeah, well, that's already. The Twins are done. The White Sox are done. The Cleveland Guardians got it done in the AL Central. Kudos to them. It's impressive, and they're young. They're the youngest team in baseball. Is that true?
That could be true.
I think that was. I saw that in a blur, but I think I got that right. So
that I wouldn't be. Yeah, that's very feasible.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
There you go, Sound Money, just for you. 2 weeks. When we get audio board requests, I mean that's like catnip for cats for me. I'm just going to do that immediately. You know it'll go right to my heart, Sound Money. I don't know who you are, Sound Money, but I like you. You've been showing up recently. Keep coming around. I like your style. Anyways, as we look at these teams, for the guy who hasn't been there for 6 weeks. Yeah. Oh, okay, 2 weeks. All right, sure. I see what you're doing. Jasper also says, been a minute. I watch every show. Just lucky to catch you guys live. That's great. Okay, I'm glad you're live here. Cool. And anybody else could jump in and talk in the live chat just like Jasper is. So, back to the teams. We have each team has 5 MLB teams mixed into it. You got the Javelinas of Peoria. We got the Salt River Rafters. And, of course, surprise, Saguaros? I don't know what Saguaros. What does Saguaros mean? I don't know what that means.
I would have to look that up.
It's got to be a Spanish word, but I don't know. I know Spanish. I just haven't. I used to speak fluent, but it goes away. You don't use it, you lose it, folks. Scottsdale Scorpions. Ooh, scary. And then, of course, up top we had the Glendale Desert Dogs and the Mesa Solar Sox. So we take a look at Glendale here, and I'll just scroll and I'll give you guys a look at the roster. And if there's a name you see here, Ben, that you want to talk about, you just let me know, because a lot of these guys are deep cuts for me that I don't know a lot of these guys. I admit that freely. There's a lot of youngsters that are involved. Of course, there's big-time players. We talked about Adam Hackenberg. There he is.
Well,
last week.
The catching on this squad is really interesting.
Oh, there's Cuero.
Yeah, and Jefferson Cuero is definitely one. I'm really interested that they have Xavier Warren listed as a catcher. He played nothing but infield this year. He was drafted as a catcher for the Brewers, but he's converted to an infielder. So I don't know if that's just interesting that they pushed him to that position, or they're trying to maybe get him to be a super utility guy, or what they're trying to do. But Xavier Warren is an interesting. I like his athleticism. I think he could be the type of guy that's a bench player. I don't know that he's ever going to be a starter, but the fact that he's been listed as a catcher, I think would be really interesting as a super utility type player. If they're actually going to use him as a catcher. So
I don't think I've played shortstop. Oh yeah, I'll try to get you a jersey if I can. I'll sign it for you and everything. By the way, isn't Sal Frelick, isn't he a catching prospect for the Brewers?
No, outfield.
Oh, he's outfield. Okay.
Yep.
Never mind that. I was going to say, damn, Brewers. Good Lord. What the hell's going on over there? Man, that's impressive. I made a mistake there, guys. I was wrong.
We're going to get all in your face and point out your faults.
Yeah, well, I made a mistake there. Oh, Tyler Black. I like Tyler Black. I think I got him in our Double Deuce draft last year.
And at Saguaro is a tree-like cactus. So there we
go.
Ooh,
that's cool.
Machine,
The Google machine strikes again. There's the stud, of course, Noelvi Marte. Can't wait to see him in action. Do you think Marte could be the MVP of this whole thing?
I don't know about the whole thing, but I think for sure he's going to be the offensive focus on this team. I really like him there. And yeah, the Christian mentions that Reese Hines is listed as an infield here. He's been converted. He's played nothing but outfield all year. And so I can't imagine he's going to play a minute of infield. So, and Edward Julian is going to be a very interesting one to watch. He walk machine out of the Twins system. I think the guy had something like almost a 500 OBP last year, and then he followed it up with a better than 400 one this year. So he's definitely an interesting guy to watch. Canadian with the French name.
Canadian with a French name. How cool is that?
The French spelling of Edward.
Cool. Also, there's our buddy Austin Martin too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we've talked about him before, but Matt McLean and Marte are with the Reds organization in the same team. That's pretty exciting. I wonder if will we see like double play combinations between the two of them?
Could. I mean, McLean, to me, I've always thought he was probably a better fit at second base.
Okay.
So it would make some sense there. Marte has the arm to work at third. I could see him working some over to third base. So it'll be a fun thing to see how they arrange that infield, because there's definite options there.
Hell yeah. Anthony says this is like the Futures game, except it's season long. I like that. Yeah, that's a good way to look at this.
It's like 2 months of Futures game.
And Sound Money says, Govier, you're thinking of Sal Fasano. That's what I did. You're right.
The elite mustache of Sal Fasano.
Maybe I was thinking of Sal Bando too.
He was a catcher for the Brewers. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, okay. So that's I swear that's what it was. I just mixed those up because I've read way too many like baseball almanacs as a kid. Before the internet, folks, baseball almanacs, sports almanacs, they were oh my God. I used to soak those things up. I just read everything in there and memorize it all. It was the best. That's kind of what the internet is now. It's cool. The internet's cool. I'll say that. Andy Pages of the Dodgers. He's a big name, sure. And there's Terrell Tatum, who, did you mention him last time? Or did someone else bring him up in the Discord? Because I've heard some talk about him.
Yeah, I think there's been some discussion on him. He's interesting athlete. I don't know what I think of him overall as a player, but definitely athletic. So,
okay. Oh, I just clicked on the Solar Dogs. Nope, here we go. This is the Mesa Solar Dogs now. Let's see. So there's Sandy Gaston. That's Chad's guy.
The Athletics are sending some big-time pitching names that have really not had a chance to do much. Ryan Cusick was drafted by the Braves. He's a huge arm, but he was part of that Matt Olson trade. JT Ginn was he came over in a trade last off. He was in the Chris Bassett trade last offseason from the Mets. And he would have been a first round pick had he not gotten hurt. And yeah, those two guys are going to be big time to watch down there.
Hell yeah.
So
also Bailey Horn, I'm voting at possible best. Also Holt Jones Jr. Those are two great names. I'm looking for the best name overall. Those are two early leaders for me. Yeah, so tons of pitchers, big roster of pitchers. Catcher wise, 2. Suddenly there's 2. We just had like 5. Yeah. Now we got 2. I don't feel like someone else is going to play catcher too, or I don't know. Every team has different strategies. Ben, this is a question, Ben, by the way. You got all these organizations with multiple players on one team. Do they all talk? Do they have like a group chat, like a Slack for the front offices of the 5 teams of each team, or what gives?
There are slots. There are slots that I know. There was a year that I talked with one of the guys with the Braves, and I asked about a certain guy going, and he said, "Yeah, we can't send him." And I said, "Well, why is that?" He said, "We got an outfield slot this year, or we don't have an outfield slot this year," and it was an outfielder. And I asked, "Are you going to send so and so?" "Yeah, we don't have an outfield slot this year. We're supposed to send a catcher, and we're supposed to send 2 infielders, and so we don't have a spot to send him." "Oh, well, that's interesting to hear." So it sometimes there is some of that goes on. Sometimes they'll have different negotiation about who fits into what spot on the roster, and maybe somebody's really got a guy injury wise, things like that they want to get there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it'll be interesting to see it's always interesting to see who ends up showing up based on who you think should be there versus how they end up filling out the roster. Looking at their infielders here, I mean, Mervis is my guy. I love him. He's
oh yeah, that is your guy. Stud. I'm gonna give him 2 because that's what Sound Money just said.
Utah.
There you go.
Give me 2.
Okay, it's done.
But then one of the guys that I know that I believe Christian is a fan of, but Tyler Herdman of the Yankees system, guy could crush a baseball. Now he misses a baseball an awful lot too. Hardman, yeah, there we go. He could, when he actually gets a hold of one, the guy's got some raw power that is really fun to watch. But he's going to be one to watch because if he can get that consistent, start to make some consistent contact, he's going to be fun to watch. Mason Hour is one of my favorite on there. If you look at him, he's really athletic. One of the youngest guys that will be there. And just if you look at his stat line this year, he's one of those guys that I can't believe more people aren't talking about him numbers wise. He had a hell of a year in the Rays system, of course, which if you're in the Rays system and you have a big stats year, you would think that more people would get to know him, but he just seems to kind of fly under the radar. I don't know if there's just too many vowels to start the name, so people just ignore him. I don't know, but Mason Hour is really a guy to get to know. But yeah, then you got, Jason Dominguez, just, because he's there.
Dominguez and Brennan Davis, the names that just keep lingering that we still,
and Davis is an Arizona boy, so he's coming home to play. So this could be a nice, comfortable situation for him to be relaxed and do some fun things.
Anthony wants to know, will all these players get to the show? And he also asked, are all these players dynasty relevant? I guess not all of them?
All, but here's something for you. I have an article coming out for the IBWAA tomorrow.
Okay.
Kind of a quick little wrap up on the minor league season and a quick little preview of AFL. So, just little summary on both. But one of the things I note in there is that on the of the MLB pipeline all Fall Stars team that they did for last year's AFL, they had 12 players on it, and out of those 12, 8 made their major league debut this year.
Wow.
So there's there were a number of, as I went through, I found a 2021 rosters thing. There's a lot of players other than those 8 that made their major league debut out of the 2021 league. So get to know these players, because these are the guys that are going to be coming up next year. These are the guys that are going to start impacting dynasty baseball and just your single year leagues too. And I'm not talking guys that were there for, that were superstars by any means. A lot of these guys were popping up, and they were, a reliever that made a difference and started picking up holds, or, a guy who came up and he started for 2 weeks. That's something you need to kind of know.
Wow. Okay. I love it. I love all this stuff. This is Ben dropping knowledge. We are on our third team now. We're looking at the Peoria Javelinas. That reminds me of Royal Tenenbaums. Where's my Javelina? Gene Hackman gets all pissed off because his Javelina's been taken down by, oh, shit. I can't believe I'm spacing out a Pagoda. Pagoda is the, house butler, driver, servant. I don't know. It's weird. He's just always there. And then he stabs Gene Hackman and says, don't ever, bullshit me again. And then he says he won't. So, love that movie.
Tim Cate used to have one of those really sexy lefty curveballs. Even though he's only I think 6 foot is being generous. But he's had so many injuries, it doesn't have anywhere near the same up break, and he definitely doesn't have the same velocity he once did. But yeah, if Cate could ever get a hold of anything, he might be a guy that could turn a relief career in. But
is Jordan Guerrero? Is he the oldest guy here? Jordan Guerrero, August 1st, 96. That's one of the oldest birth dates I've seen so far. This is a long pitching staff. Again, these rosters vary in size.
And Juan Then is going to be coming back, and Lenny Torres both coming back from injury.
Oh.
And they're both guys who have in the past had very high expectations of them. So I think you're going to enjoy watching both of those players.
Do you like Hartwig? Christian's pointing out Hartwig.
Hartwig and Mike Vasile both. I really like both of those guys as arms to watch. I think the Mets are sending a couple of guys to definitely keep an eye on.
There's Dusty's son, Darren Baker, who was a draft pick last year. I don't know. I mean, he's not going to be a guy that I think is an impact player, but he could be a utility guy.
Yasel Antuna, also from the Nationals, he was a guy who was really, really interesting for a number of years, and he has moved to the outfield. I know they've got him listed as an infielder here, but he has moved to the outfield and is somebody to watch. The obvious guy here is Jackson Merrill. That was like
there he is.
You know, that's the one that everyone's going to be paying attention to. But
yep, he'll get a lot of run. He's young. He's one of the younger guys.
Yeah, he's a high school draftee from last year. So I mean, he's going to be very young compared to most of the guys on these lists.
Oh, we got John Ritter's son. Rest in peace, John Ritter. Luke Ritter. That's great. I'm so glad he made it. That's total bullshit. I just made that up, folks. I have no idea if that's true. Robert Hassel III, there he is, freshly traded from the Padres. He's now Washington's. Man, their farm system's looking better now after that trade alone. But
fun player.
Wait a minute. Look who it is down here. Reed Grignac. Oh my God.
Yeah. If you want to, remember some guys, go through the coaching staffs on these teams because there's it's like a whole list of remember some guys.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That some reason his name also reminded me of Rico Bronya. Man, Rico Bronya. What could have been? What could have been? All right, let's go over this saguaros, which is, by the way, Ben, a cactus Christmas tree? Did I get that right?
It's basically a cactus-like tree. So yeah.
Oh, that's lit up.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that.
Oh, you didn't say that.
It's a cactus-like tree is what it said.
Okay.
So,
who are some other guys here that maybe we should know about that we don't? Any of these names hit you?
I liked Cruz before he was traded to the Pirates system. He's an interesting arm to watch. Pirates are sending some really interesting arms in general. The Priester is a former, he was an elite high school pitcher. I think it's like a 15th overall pick or right around there when they drafted him. And Wu is a guy who a lot of people like on that roster, but if you go, they also, Kumar is on this roster. So a lot of people are going to be watching him.
Quinn Priester.
Quinn Priester is the other. Yeah. And then they have
Vi Sikahema's cousin, TJ Sikema.
Yeah,
that's a stretch, guys. That's a stretch.
He's an interesting one in that he seems to have picked up a couple miles an hour this year. He's not yet figured out how to command that. He can control it, but not command it. And so sometimes it gets hit a little bit hard, but from his first, soirees through the pro ranks, he's picked up a couple miles an hour this year. And if he can do that as a lefty starter, that gives him a shot to make it to the majors as a starter.
Ooh, okay. There's last year's Studley pick, first rounder, Henry Davis of the Pirates. He's going to be playing in.
Did I just see a Braves player on this roster?
You did, William.
Which is weird because that's not the Braves team.
Yeah, this is the surprise Saguaros, and I don't know. This has to be a typo. William, do you know who William Woods is?
Yeah, I think he
because you would know.
He's a very. William Woods is going to be a reliever that's going to be a stud reliever in that he can just pump out some high-end gas, but he should. I think they're sending him, but he wasn't on their initial list, but he should be on the other team.
Yeah, that's strange.
It should be on Scottsdale, I believe.
Right. So there he is. Luis Angel. Luis Angel Acuna. This is guys, you like Ronald Acuna, forget that. This is the next guy, right, Ben?
Right, there you go. Yeah, this is the speedy Acuna. No.
Exactly. It really is.
I once talked to Ronald's dad, and he said that Ronald was the hard worker because he's the oldest and had to go out and prove himself. Luis Eniel is the speedy one. He's the natural, like gifted, speedy athlete. But Brian is the natural baseball player.
Oh, that's right.
We'll just see.
That's right. Okay.
That's a dad. But Jacob Gonzalez on there is that is Luis Gonzalez's son. And
of the Diamondbacks and Tigers days?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he was originally drafted by the Giants, really struggled there, moved over to the Pirates this year, and ended up hitting 300. I mean, not a ton of power to his game, no speed to speak of at all. He's moved to first base and not a power profile, so it's kind of an odd profile as to where his value would lie. But I mean, he hit 300, 377, 459. So I mean, not nothing. So there's something. I mean, but the problem is he's also he's what, 24, 25 at this point. So I mean, it took him a while to kind of find his groove hitting as a professional. So, but still, you hit that well all year long. There's something to that too. So
so let me get this right. Did Nick Gonzalez get hurt then come back, or was he playing and then he got hurt and now he's back?
Nick Gonzalez is perpetually hurt and coming back and playing and getting hurt, and it's just kind of a cycle. It's kind of a Byron Buxton thing.
No, we don't want to hear that.
On again, off again with the injury list and Nick Gonzalez, I think.
Anybody here in the outfield real quick?
The Phillies guys here are really talented and fun. But, and we talked about Aaron Zavala before, but
yes, we have.
But the Phillies guys here are elite in what they do, but they're also really raw in what they do. So Ortiz can hit the ball a country mile, but sometimes can, air condition an entire stadium with the way he swings and misses. Rojas can run like the wind, but you can't steal first. So there's, they're fun guys as far as their skills are really, really impressive, but they just kind of need to work on the whole package. So.
Yeah, Chad says that Ortiz is in a make it or break it moment here.
Yeah.
And this blows my mind. I am still kicking myself, says Anthony, for taking Nick Senzel over Acuna and Soto in the first-year player draft back in 2015 or 16. Ouch!
Isn't that crazy to think about, that those guys were all kind of coming into the league at the same time? And
that's true. You're right. It wasn't like they were. Nick Senzel was a huge prospect, so I can't shit on Anthony for that. And Soto exploded.
That 2016 Braves low A team had like Austin Riley and Ronald Acuna in the lineup, and that's when like those guys Ronald Acuna really kind of came on the scene. And you could have picked him up and nobody would have known who he was at that time. So,
well, this is your wheelhouse, Ben. This is the Scorpions roster of Scottsdale. It's got the Braves on it. There's a Will Bednar, first-round pick of the Giants last year. I'm interested to see him. I actually will be keeping an eye on him to see if we can see some growth. But then fill us in on the other guys that we need to know that maybe we don't. Whoa.
Jack K is how I just refer to him because that's a long arse name to say. He was long and lanky coming out of high school, and everyone thought he'd fill out, and he really hasn't in the way that you would hope. He's added some weight, but it hasn't been in the way that you would kind of hope. He's kind of paunched a little bit, but hasn't put that weight into his legs as much as you would like. And so therefore he's kind of working with really long arms, really long legs, and 89 miles an hour. So it is really deceptive stuff, but you were kind of hoping he'd end up at 94, not 89. With the way that he throws.
I don't know Aaron Perry, by the way, but he's 5'11". You look at this list. So I'm just rooting for Aaron Perry because all these guys are like 6'4", 6'5". He's 5'11", 175. You go, Aaron Perry. Make it happen.
Thad Ward's, yeah, I mean, he's mentioned he was a stud for Boston and then got hurt. And so he's definitely one to watch. And, I'm trying to think, was Wisenhunt a draft pick this year or was he 2 years ago?
That's a good question. I just think of Ken Wisenhunt when I see that name.
Yeah, I know.
I just can't stop thinking of Ken Wisenhunt. So,
Yeah, he was this year. I was going to say. So he was just this year. So that's a guy getting drafted this year and going straight to the AFL. So and he is not yet allowed a run as a professional.
Ooh.
So that's kind of interesting to track.
That's very impressive. Chad says Wisenhunt should be fun, as I believe he's the second highest drafted first-year player draft guy to show up.
Yeah, behind Kumar. So
of course, right. But Werner Blakely, exciting.
Blakely's a fun guy athletically to be there. And then Kavadas, I don't know that a lot of people realize just how stinking good his year was. There's some chat that he could be potentially hitting in the major league lineup this next year. So like that's a big push for a guy who was just drafted last year to accelerate himself all the way to a Boston Red Sox lineup. So
he went from low A to high A to double A all this year with a combined 26 home runs. Wow.
And he walks a ton.
He does.
And, I mean, yeah, he's not gonna. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan of what he can do at the plate. Let's just put it that way. But
there's our guy.
Yeah, Justin Henry is definitely a big fan of him.
Yeah, I like him. Round of applause, Justin. You go get up, man. Make the most of this. Enjoy your time. Soak it up. And just make the most of it. And there's your guy you just talked about, Kierstad. Yeah. Luis Matos hanging around.
It'll be interesting to see how he bounces back after a rough year. Yeah, there you go.
There it is. Matt Tuiasosopo. Wow. And there he is.
There's one. He has been in, I can't remember. I believe he is the Braves AAA manager. But he has been managing in the Braves system, and there was a point where I believe that there was discussion he might kind of be groomed as a future big league manager, because they have a 70-something-year-old manager currently. So,
I don't think I did the Salt River Rafters. I skipped over them.
Yeah, I think we missed them.
This is the last one. Salt River Rafters. There's JB Bukauskas hanging around. Yeah. He's old.
Yeah, and same thing with him and Hagen Danner. Those are guys that are going to likely be relievers, but they're going to be interesting to watch. Coming off injury, and they have good stuff to watch coming off injury. Tink Hence is, had a big breakout year this year.
Tink Hence. What a name.
Tink is short for Marcavius.
Okay.
I think it'll be interesting to see. Hence isn't going to get it in AFL, but his next big thing he needs to do is he needs to build up innings because he really hasn't pitched deep into ball games yet.
Christian agrees with you.
He's damned sexy to watch on the mound, though. His stuff is just ridiculous good. But I was just thinking, there's Joey.
Hey, Joey. I don't know Matt Walker at all, and I'm a Tigers guy, so I don't even know who that is. Wow. Who is Matt Walker? Who are you? What's your story? I know Dylan Dingler.
Yeah, he's not a Diamondback.
He is definitely not a Diamondback at all. What the hell? Come on, guys. He's a former Ohio State Buckeye, which disappoints me, but I'm willing to forgive him if he makes the major leagues and does well. Dylan, just remember that.
He's struggled on offense.
Yeah. Jake Rogers part 2. I don't know.
I loved him with his defensive versatility being picked. I thought he was a guy who he did a lot in college around the diamond, but could also play catcher. And so when he was drafted and they, was going to focus on catcher, I thought, oh, well, that's interesting. I wonder how he'll do. Well, he's shown to be a pretty darn good catcher.
Go Tigers.
But it'll be, I don't know. He's got a hit.
Matt Walker is a 13th round pick, by the way, from 2019. And yeah, he was at low A this year, moved up to high A, pitched about 53 combined innings. A lot of walks, not a ton, but a fair amount. That's somewhat of a red flag. Looks like a starter, but also pitched some relief. I don't know. Nothing stands out. I don't know anything else about Matt Walker right now, so I'll just leave it there because I'll leave it to the pros, like you, as we look at the infield. Colt Keith, I know him.
Yeah, he is. And that's going to be an interesting infield because you have De Los Santos, who is, I think, somebody else has made the comment, and I think it's an apt one. Ezekiel Tovar of the Rockies, who just was a stud this year. Mm-hmm. They compared him where he was last year coming into the AFL to where Davison De Los Santos is right now. And just kind of getting that experience facing older guys, facing advanced pitching, and getting that confidence to go into Double-A next year and be able to really assert himself as a player. And that's what I think this could be for him, because he's young, but gosh, is he talented. But there's so many good infielders here. You got Jordan Lawler, you've got, Barger, one of the best names right there. Warren Bernabel is like that's just like one of my favorite names right there. And then Colt was really doing well and then got hurt. Jordan Walker, it sounds like he's going to play outfield, not infield.
There's your guy, Mason Wynn, by the way.
And Mason Wynn, he of the 100+ mile an hour throw across the infield. And Gage Workman is also pretty dang good with the glove. If he could translate that into a bat, that'd be lovely. But
this team's stacked, man. I think the infield's stacked anyway.
Really deep infield. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how they put that infield together night after night.
We'll see if Warren Schaefer, manager, can pull it off. I don't know Warren Schaefer. I remember what was that guy? Warren. Shit, he was a second baseman. Played at LSU, I think. He was a Pirates. You know what I'm talking about? He's like
There's lots of Warrens that have played second
Warren
base.
somebody. Shit. Anyways, there's Cooper Hummel. Parker Meadows, my God. Yeah. The better Meadows. He's the best Meadows on the Tigers in their organization. Wink, wink. Austin Meadows.
Yeah, well, he's hit more home runs than any other Meadows this year.
And there's Zach Veen, one of the studs, the big time stud.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the. Depending on which list you follow, he would be the highest rated player in the AFL this year.
Warren Blakeney? No, Blakeney? Was that doesn't ring a bell. That one doesn't work for me. Sorry. Warren shit my next year, first year. Oh, okay. I don't know what you're saying there. You're just being a goofy, Anthony. I tell you this, Chad says that he secretly is the reason the Jays keep trading.
That's Barker.
With Barker for minor league pro. Okay, yeah. And Christian says Parker is going to have a Blade-like breakout this AFL. Calling it now.
That could be fun. I think Chad might have gotten your guy, Warren Morris.
There it is. That's
that guy.
See, that's the guy. That's exactly what I was thinking of. I think he hit like a College World Series clinching home run for LSU. They won the series, and then he played at Pittsburgh. He was so-so. But I was thinking of Hal Morris, so I thought I got it wrong because I knew Hal Morris played at Michigan. He was a first baseman. And Hal Morris hit 340 one year. It was shorter sample size, but it was pretty impressive.
He was kind of there was a time when the Reds seemed to pump out guys like that playing first base. Hal Morris and Sean Casey, and we aren't going to get 30 home runs out. We might as well get 300 out of them. So
that's right. Different time, of course.
Definitely.
There it is. We covered some of the rosters. Ben gave some of his thoughts, hopefully on some of the other guys, not just the Studley guys. As he said, no, not everybody's going to make the bigs next year at all. But pretty much, what we say, 90% of these guys are dynasty relevant, right?
I mean, I would watch 90% of the guys that start in that starting lineup every night would be somebody you want to know for your dynasty league.
Okay.
There are going to be a lot of guys who are here for Rule 5 reasons. There are going to be definitely a lot of relievers who are here just because teams want to see what the heck they have. A lot of arms that are here so teams can kind of see what the heck they have. You saw how deep almost every pitching roster was. So not every arm is dynasty relevant. That's for darn sure. But plenty of the bats aren't going to be. I mean, a lot of these catchers are simply there because you got to have somebody catch the ball. It's kind of a rule.
Sure.
So, I really think you're going to have a lot of these guys that you're going to have a lot of really interesting starters. So,
yes. Oh, absolutely. Oh, come on. Shut up. Yeah.
That was sad Panda. I was watching that game as we worked on Sunday, and he starts limping off. I thought, oh.
That's a direct slap in the face to me because I wear my Calvin Johnson jersey. No way. St. Brown's great. He's a lot of fun. He sure is. But, he's no Calvin Johnson.
No.
We couldn't do diddly poo offensively. We couldn't make a first down. We couldn't run the ball. We didn't try to run the ball. We couldn't complete a pass. We sucked.
Yeah,
there you go.
Much.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
He's still got a ways to go to be Herman Moore. So let's be honest.
There you go. Look at Ben. See, Ben's dropping dimes. Hell yeah, Herman Moore was a shit. So underrated. Should have been a Hall of Famer. Really, it just didn't have the longevity.
Didn't he have like 130 catches one year or something like that?
He set the catch record, I believe, in 95 or 96. Him and Brett Perryman, they were going bonkers. That's when receptions went to a new level in the NFL. That time with Marvin Harrison.
And then Harrison broke it from him.
Yeah.
I think. So,
but Moore was a Hall of Fame talent. He just didn't have the longevity. But he was really, really good there for 4 or 5 years. And basically saved Scott Mitchell. If he didn't have Herman Moore to throw the ball up in the air to, Scott Mitchell wouldn't even have been as decent as Scott Mitchell was, which he actually did have.
Dan Marino got hurt.
Oh, my God. I remember that. I was a kid, and I still realize how stupid that was. Oh, my God. By the way, Ben's Golden Gophers just absolutely smacked the shit out of Michigan State. It was a mind-blowing, dominant performance that I'm still baffled by. I'm not a Sparty guy. I'm a Michigan guy. I went to Michigan. People know that about me. But Jesus, 34-7.
As a Gopher guy, it surprised me.
34-7. An absolute bitch slap. Just boom.
But they bumped up to 21st in the nation because of it, which is impressive. So
yeah, well, to me, I mean, Iowa's going to have a say in it, but it's them and Iowa in the West. So
yeah.
But we'll see what happens. Purdue, they can score points, so we'll see what happens in that game this weekend. I will be curious because Minnesota does shit the bed sometimes, and this might be one of those games after they have a dominant performance. So Purdue's not great, but they can score points. Anyways, I could talk about football all day. I got to go. The show went way over. We went way past our half-hour limit, but we wanted to get all of Ben's thoughts on all 6 of the Arizona Fall League teams. I hope you enjoyed this Plausible Podcast. 2 L's, 2 Z's.
No way.
Nope, that's the wrong one. I'm on the Jim Morrow bank of sound. Sorry about that. There you go.
Utah.
2 L's, 2
Give me
Z's,
2.
top of the page on the Twitter feed. You got the Discord link. It's totally free. You got the Patreon link, too, if you want that. I did a whole football write-up for every damn game last week in detail. So I am officially doing it over there, too, and I'm trying to give you more. We'll continue to give you more, and Ben's there in the Discord, the prospects chat. He's in the random trash. He'll be talking about Braves because the Braves are on the playoff hunt right here, so there's going to be a lot of Braves excitement from Ben, home run moments. Yeah, he gets to hit a home run, and Michael Harris just cranked one, and he is good, so that's fair. And Chad says, not AFL related, but my eyes are glued on the Miami and the potential that the Braves series might be seriously impacted by Ian. Recovery efforts, and thus the NL East race. Well, okay, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well, and yeah, that Mets-Braves series getting moved or altered or anything would really be crappy for baseball.
Yeah, you're getting props on your background, though, Ben. Look at that. Cool Atlanta Braves photo, Ben.
Yeah, it is an iconic poster, whether you're a Braves fan or not. That 4 Aces poster is one of those. There's
Steve Avery is the guy that people wouldn't get, right?
Yeah. There's a Bash Brothers poster that I had growing up too that was well known, of Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco standing together and all roided out and everything else. But that was a poster that I found out that almost everyone had in their room that was my age and whatnot. So yeah.
Yep. Turkish beef roids. Chicks dig the long ball, says Anthony. Of course, that was the commercial. That's right. Chad says, where's the Betancourt centerfold, Ben?
Hey, that's when I really got into prospecting, is back when he was the stud prospect for the Braves. So,
okay.
I went rounds with Kevin Goldstein and Jason Parks back in the day on Christian Betancourt and how good he was or wasn't. So that was I cut my teeth arguing with those guys about him. So
yeah. I was gonna say, we're not talking about Rafael Betancourt, right?
No.
Yeah. Who would not survive in today's game, especially with a pitch clock. So that's putting it mildly as a.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Anyways, thanks guys for watching.
What is Pedro
Baez
going to do?
I don't. He's going to have to adapt or die. I mean, that's it. So get in or get out. You have to make the adjustment. I can't wait to see what happens to all that stuff next season. It's going to be another little tidbit that we can look forward to. Anyways, guys, love doing the show. Love talking with you guys. By the way, Steve Avery was from Taylor, Michigan, right here in the Metro Detroit. So shout out to Steve Avery. I don't know if he lives in the area anymore or not, but hope you're doing well, Steve. And that's Steve Avery, not Sean Avery, who, yes, did play for the Red Wings for a time and also was kind of an asshole. So Steve Avery, nice guy. Sean Avery, a little bit more of an asshole. So just get your Averys right, guys. Know your Averys, okay?
Make sure you get the right Stephen Avery, not the guy from the How to
Deep
Make
Space
a Murderer,
Nine?
the Making a Murderer thing on Netflix. Very different. Make Steve Avery.
That is definitely true. Yes, thank you for clarifying that, Ben. All right, thanks everybody. Palazzo Podcast, Prospects Power Half Hour. We hope you enjoyed our Arizona Fall League breakdown. We'll probably catch you guys next week. The season ends a week from today, so it'll be the final day of the season next Wednesday. So we'll do a show and we'll talk about the season wrapping up and anything else, and then maybe we'll take a week off. I don't know. But we are going to have some cool stuff coming up with Arizona Fall League, special guests, yada, yada, yada. So stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it. In the meantime, the Discord is where you get everything you need to know. Thanks very much. Godspeed, everyone.